Hey guys, so today we're going to jump into a top 10 character list for Dragon Ball Legends. This is technically an April edition. I think the next one we're going to do probably will be May, just because I expect a major release in the 16th of April, and then I think the last day of April actually does end up being a Wednesday, the 30th. So, yeah, we'll probably do the next one in May. I don't like to do these every single time we get a new character. Usually I like to wait until we finish a month out, and then we do a list here. So, yeah, so we've gotten 2 banners since the last list. We have the Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta banner, and of course the Super Saiyan 4 Goku banner for Daima. So Daima has made a big splash in PvP recently. That is the major update we've received since the last list I did, which was for Ultra Cell. So as usual, just to go over the 3 things I like to talk about before jumping into the list. Number 1, all characters are considered at 14 stars, best teams, best equips, best everything. Number 2, this is a ranking that consists of the best characters in the current meta environment, not characters that are always strictly better than other characters. Rankings may change down the line. And then finally, this list consists of rankings that are of my own opinion that I've formed based on the meta that I know. So in Japan, standard, not proud. And yeah, that's just typically what I like to mention before we jump in, just so that you know what the basis is of these rankings. So let's go ahead and jump in. I will just be doing a standard top 10 list. There's not going to be like honorable mentions here or anything like that. We'll just go straight through, starting from 10 and make our way down to 1. All right, so at number 10, I am actually going to have this as a shared spot. This is the only shared spot on this list, and I'm just going to throw both these guys at number 10. I tried to think about who I thought really was better right now, and it's tough. I think they're pretty close here. We have Super Trunks and Majin Buu. I think I'll start with Majin Buu because he is a brand new character. He is a very good addition to the Daima team, a very solid unit. As a 1% sparking, really tough to ask for much more than what this guy is bringing to the table here. He is a character that pretty much can do most things. I think Disrupt, very strong. Defense, pretty strong. Supporting, healing. The only thing I would say is maybe his damage is a little low, but he has double ultimates. He has pretty good synergy with the rest of the Daima characters, specifically Goku, the character that he dropped with on the same banner. One thing I like about this character is that he does have a buff removal charge from standby that can activate. Pretty strong against Ultra Cell. I think the way you want to use Ultra Cell, and we'll talk about Ultra Cell later as we get through some of these higher up characters here. But Ultra Cell, one way I think you want to use him against specifically the Daima setup is you want to use his ultimate with the type neutrality active to get rid of Goku's indestructible. That is, I think, the best way to use that Cell just to set up his rush for later, right? Because obviously Cell's rush will tear through everything that isn't indestructible or comeback or succession, right? So you want to use his ultimate, I think, just to get rid of the indestructible, but this guy makes it very tough for that to be a thing, because if you use the ultimate with Cell when you're type neutral, this character is actually going to remove the neutrality on Cell, so it becomes even harder to use him. We'll talk about Rose later. Rose can kind of not let that happen, I guess, but this character does make it a little bit harder for Cell to be as effective against a Daima team, which, you know, Cell isn't in a great spot against Daima to begin with, but this guy makes it even harder. This character, I think, with the Obscure is like, so this is going to be a common thing when we talk about Majin Buu as well, but there are mechanics like Obscure, Paralysis, that it's really hard to evaluate because it's at the end of the day just down to luck a lot of the times. Like, do you actually get paralyzed? When you're obscured, do you actually click cards you don't want to click? I think with Paralysis, it's a bit more of a sure thing, right? That you're probably going to end up getting more value out of Paralysis than you are usually out of Obscure, at least in my experience. That's how I feel. Right? The only thing with Obscure is if you're obscuring a character, where I feel it's really important and really valuable, is if you're obscuring a character like Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who is able to just combo you forever. If the Super Saiyan 3 Goku who's obscured accidentally clicks a blue, that is going to end his combo, and that is really good value out of Obscure. So Obscure could be really good in that way. If you have a character who's drawn an ultimate and they click their ultimate when they don't want to use it, that could be another good use of Obscure. This guy has a projectile blue, which could be a good way to like drop combo into strike card or something like that. He's got blast armor, which is nice, of course, even though he's a ranged character. He's got the team-wide paralysis when his endurance is procced, which I think is really, really strong. Paralysis, I guess we could just talk about this now. I think is kind of like, again, it's in talking about it in the same breath as the obscure mechanic. It is 100% an RNG mechanic, but it is a very powerful RNG mechanic. If the opponent is paralyzed, most of the time, if you're a good player and you're paralyzed, you tend to switch out of the character who's paralyzed. But if your entire team is paralyzed, there's not really much you can do about it. You just kind of have, like, at all times, you kind of have just like, you know, whatever the percent chance is, 20% chance just to lose a character or something. It's really absurd. So paralysis is very strong. But overall, I don't really see like a massive weakness in this character. He is debuffing a lot in terms of arts power when you talk about blues. He's healing a lot. He's healing the team, supporting. So you have just a really, really strong character with Majin Doo here. And then Super Trunks. I think Super Trunks definitely has fallen quite a bit since the release of Super Saiyan 4 Goku, especially when we consider the fact that I think because of Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I don't know if he makes like the very best version of Future. So prior to Super Saiyan 4 Goku releasing, I think Super Trunks was probably a core character on Future. You would run Cell, Super Trunks, and then Future Gohan and Trunks. It is a double red setup, but back before Super Saiyan 4 Goku dropped, the only blue character you really encountered was Future Gohan and Trunks, and the occasional Turles, and that kind of was it, at least for me, right? Sometimes you would encounter the blue 17, but he really wasn't that common. But now with Goku out, I think for sure the best lineup for Future, which again we will talk about later, is Cell, Future Gohan and Trunks, and Rose. Ultra Rose certainly I think is much more valuable than this Trunks is on that build, because you don't need the defensive utility he brings to the table nearly as much as you would need Rose's offensive abilities. But Super Trunks I think still fits really well on a pure hybrid setup. So he's still good, but, you know, definitely not as good as he was. Super Trunks, I mean, I have fought some pretty high starred Super Trunkses with my maxed out Daima team, and even, you know, maxed out fully, you know, everything to the limits, Super Saiyan 4 Goku can get stopped by Super Trunks. Super Trunks is type neutral when he enters. He's destroying your hand. He is increasing cost. He's sealing your main ability. He's sealing your rush. Like, it's hard. It's hard to just combo through that. It's pretty much impossible, because you can't even switch out to like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta to continue the combo there. But Super Trunks, I think, is still a pretty effective character. Not as high as he was on my last list, just again, because I think Super Saiyan 4 Goku hurts him quite a bit, but still good enough, I think, to make the list here next to Majin Doo at number 10. So let's go ahead and move on to number 9 next, but this is the shared slot, only shared slot on this list, Majin Doo and Super Trunks. Okay, so number 9 is going to be Ultra Majin Vegeta. I think this was actually the same spot that I had him on my last list. I mean, it makes sense. We have some characters newly added above him, but he doesn't really fall much, just because I think Super Saiyan 4 Goku getting added, probably, I guess the net effect is what it helps him a little bit, just because you see a little bit less of Ultra Cell, which is clearly the biggest threat to this character. But I mean, you know, Super Saiyan 4 Goku is not like some like really good matchup for this character, because he does have the anti auto counter gauge mechanic. Whenever he procs an auto counter, the blue card is going to be sealed, so that could be annoying for this guy. But I think he's still an effective character, right? People are writing this guy off as if he's just all of a sudden like a zero, but I don't think that's the case at all. His counter, like, even if Goku is going to proc his auto counter and seals blue card, he still stops the combo for you, right? He's still got the ridiculously broken AoE green. He's got the buff removal. He's got the long combos. The lock-in ultimate can still snipe characters. Like, I don't think this guy is just like falling off a cliff or anything like that. I just, you know, this isn't a great meta for him, right? He's still got a good team with Vegeta Clan, this guy, Future Gohan and Trunks, and Super Trunks is a pretty solid team right now, I think. You could kind of throw this guy on leader slot too. Majin Buu Saga is still pretty solid. This guy plus the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Maybe Gotenks as well potentially could be decent, but yeah, I don't really think this character... First of all, I don't need to talk at length about him, because obviously all you guys know how this character works. And I don't think this guy is all of a sudden like, you know, he's now free, right for the picking. Everybody, you know, get your free wins against Majin Vegeta. Like, certainly not. But is he worthy of being in like the top 5? I definitely don't think so. But he's still, you know, he's still that annoying character that we've been fighting for the past 5 months now. So I have Ultra Majin Vegeta number 9. I don't think really need to go into too much detail here. Let's move on to the next character. All right, so number 8 is going to be Majin Ku. I definitely had a bit of a difficult time figuring out where I wanted to place him on the list. I knew he was going to be here. I just didn't know where I wanted to put him. I think this guy does make what I consider to be the best team in the game, which is this guy, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Goku on the Daima team. There are a few iterations of Daima that I think you could make an argument for to be just a better version of that on Daima, but like Daima is just really flexible, I think, right now. But this character, him being just essentially a utility slash supporting slash disrupting character, this is not going to be a character that is carrying you in any way, shape, or form to winning. This is going to be like, I don't know if I want to make a parallel to Red Pan, but they kind of have a similar role where their goal is to disrupt, support, heal, and sub-count manipulate. That's it. I mean, that's literally what Pan did back when she dropped, and now this is what this Majin Ku is doing. This Majin Ku, however, has one extra layer on his kit than what Pan was, actually two, I guess, extra layers. The first one is a lot of Vanish Restoration. That is a very, very valuable tool with the Daima team that really hinges on switching constantly. If you can buy just a little bit of time with this character a lot of times just to, you know, be able to switch in and out more rapidly and more effectively, you're going to rack up a lot of healing. And the extra cards are going to be drawing really going to help characters like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. But then also it is the paralysis. Talked a little bit about this when we talked about Majin Doo, but it's just, we got to talk about it because it is a mechanic that can single-handedly win you games. And it's not like Super Trunks' feint, where it's like once every 10 matches you're going to get the feint off. This is fairly common. He's getting paralysis not just by getting hit. Whenever he attacks the opponent with a strike card, he has a chance to inflict paralysis. 30%. That is not tough to get, right? And if the opponent is inflicted with paralysis, you have a free chance to drop the combo, and then they get paralyzed, and then it just sort of steamrolls and snowballs into just nonsense. Just over and over nonsense. And you really can win games off of that alone. Like, if nothing else, you can just simply win games off of... There's a reason why people still use 2nd Anniversary Hero Hercule, right? There's a reason for that. But this Majin Ku is extremely powerful as a support slash disrupt character. 50% damage to the Daima team. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is hitting just like a monster truck. Super Saiyan 4 Goku's blue cards are one-shotting 14-star Beast Gohans. Like, this guy is really the centerpiece of the team. And I think, I haven't even talked about his main value yet, but I think it's the healing. You look at how insane the healing is on the Daima team. This character is healing 15% to the whole team whenever he swaps. You combine that with all the sub-count manipulation on the team, things just become way too much. Even for like completely maxed out hybrids, completely maxed out future, who have ridiculous equips, ridiculous Senkai benches, all the ridiculous stats and everything that you would need to do damage. And this team could just sit there and swap and swap and heal, and it becomes almost impossible to kill the team if you just don't rush an ultimate left and right. That's really what you have to do against Daima. You just have to constantly be spamming these super hard-hitting abilities to even just dent the team. And a lot of it is thanks to this character. And also I give a shout out to Majin Doo as well, because he is providing the HP restoration buff, the blanket buff to the whole team too. But Majin Ku really does hold the team together very, very well. And I think as long as, remember, the one weakness of this character, same thing with Majin Doo, but he is exclusively relegated to the Daima team. So his value and his viability will just hinge upon how good the Daima team is at any given point. So if the Daima team starts to become outdated, starts to fall off, maybe Anniversary happens, maybe they start buffing, I don't know, like Sun Family or something like that, or Fusion Warriors, and all of a sudden Daima isn't as prevalent, well, I mean, that's this character's only team, and he has specific mechanics related to having Daima tag characters on the team, so at that point he wouldn't be as prevalent. But for now, I would say he's very, very strong. So Majin Ku is going to be number 8. Let's move on to number 7. All right, so number 7 is going to be transforming Super Saiyan 2 into Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I think this character is still very, very good. We're still waiting for that like monster purple character to come out. I don't know what's taken so long. We got the instant transmission purple Kamehameha Goku in February. He's more of like an all-around style character, not really a monster in any one area. So again, because it was him, and then it was Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta with the last two purples that were major premium LF or Ultra releases. So Purple is, we've gotten a lot of good 1% sparkings, 17, Tamagami number 3, now Majin Du. So, they're giving us purple characters in, 1% sparkings, and also the purple cell LF Zenkai character. But they just won't give us like a super mega crazy powerful just LF or ultra purple character. So we're still waiting for that. That's one of the reasons why I think this character is still as good as he is. But he also is just very effective against the Daima team, I think, right? The Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the biggest thing about him is his immunity to all of these debuffs. All the card draw speed down debuffs. All of the health restoration debuffs. All of the attribute downgrades, all the abnormal conditions, all the paralysis, all of those things this character does not care about once he is in the Super Saiyan 3 form, which I think is super valuable. The only thing to mention about this character up against the Daima team is Super Saiyan 4 Goku's buff removal does kind of make it a bit more tough for this character to just continuously combo forever and ever and ever, especially if you want to pair that up alongside Majin Du's ability to obscure his hand. I mentioned this when talking about Majin Du, but for example, you're comboing with this character, you've got your hand obscured, and gosh darn it, you accidentally click on the blue card, and that ends the combo, right? Obviously, the blue card's going to end the combo. So that is one thing that can kind of hold this guy back a little bit, especially against Majin Du. But let's say the opponent's not even using Majin Du. Goku's buff removal can hurt this character in terms of removing his special cover change nullification. But even then, this guy guaranteed draws a green when he transforms. You can simply transform, grab another green card, and then his green card gives him special cover change nullification back for a second time. And you can keep doing that over and over and over again. This guy uses so many cards and goes through so many cards that it's very, very likely you grab another green in the same combo and you can refresh it. So this character does still have a very good argument for being one of the better characters in the game against the Daima team. And I think that does allow him to be a very good option still right now. So there we go. I mean, I don't really think much else needs to be said here. He's got type advantage over Goku. But yeah, I think this is a very strong character still. LF Super Saiyan 2 into Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku. Let's move on to number 6 next. Number 6 is going to be Ultra Rose Goku Black. The amount of value this character has gained from the last like 3 releases. Well, not really so much Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, but Cell and his role on the future team with this guy. Then we have the Daima. I'll just refer to the Daima team as like a collective here. Super Saiyan 4 Goku plus Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Again, one of the big mechanics that Super Saiyan 4 Goku brings to the table is his ability to remove enemy special cover change nullification, which will allow the team to be able to cover change characters, especially Goku with his cover change against both strikes and blast cards. The only problem with that, specifically referring to how this Ultra Rose Goku Black works, is because he gets his special cover change nullification through his platinum equipment, that actually cannot be removed by Goku's buff removal effects. So even though Goku is removing this character's buff effects, that special cover change nullification will persist through the buff removal, which will allow this character to combo effortlessly. This character does a lot of damage on what I think is his best setup. This guy next to Future Gohan and Trunks, and then the Ultra Cell. You just run full offensive equips. You run Zenkai buffs for all characters. You don't even really need an HP buffer. You just go full offense, and you just tear into characters. Now, if the opponent is running a team that has Majin Du on it, it's just a different variant of Daima. It could be a little bit tougher for this character, but even then, I mean, this guy is using so many ultimates and removing so many of the opponent's buff removal effects that you can actually get value, I think, out of the type neutral from his main ability. Again, one of the really good things about this character is the ability that he gets multiple ultimates, because you can use a lot of those ultimates 2, 3 in a row to remove a lot of the opponent's buff removals from Stamp. Like Majin Du has that. Whenever I'm using, like I did a video on this, actually, this video probably will go up after that one. But I did a video revisiting Ultra Cell on the feature team, and I used Rose, and it honestly almost turned into an Ultra Rose showcase, because I would use Ultra Rose just to get rid of like Majin Du's buff removal effects, and that opened up Ultra Cell's ultimate to get rid of Goku's indestructible, and then we, sort of like fed that into a Rising Rush, and then everybody just dies. So This Rose is really good. The only problem with him, actually, Super Saiyan 3 Goku we just talked about kind of share a similar issue, is they are very weak defensively. This Rose's got the half HP disrupt. That Super Saiyan 3 Goku doesn't even have that. Super Saiyan 3 Goku really is pretty weak defensively. But this guy at least has the HP recovery at half HP. But even then, like, this guy just gets torn in half by like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Even like Majin Ku can do a lot of damage to this character, and especially Majin Duke's type advantage. But yeah, this guy is really, really strong offensively. You get like a paralysis up with his blue card, and that literally could be the end of the match. You could win straight off getting paralysis from his blue. It could snowball that hard. This guy is stacking damage, stacking sustained damage, cut penetration whenever the enemy is afflicted with bleed, and you go for a strike or an ultimate or a blue card. Just a really powerful character that I thought that when this guy's platinum equipment first dropped, I thought that they did not do enough for him. But they really set this character up in a way to where his platinum equipment has gained a lot of value over the course of the past month. So this Rose, very powerful character. He's number 6. Let's move on to the top 5 now. All right, so number 5 is going to be Ultra Beast Gohan. Still a very good character. I don't really think this guy has fallen off too much. In fact, on my last list, I think I had him at 3. I think. I don't remember exactly, but he was probably 3, 4, somewhere in there. So again, we have some new additions up on this list a bit higher than this character, so naturally he's just a bit lower in the numbers here, but I don't really think much has changed for this character. This character, I mean, I guess the thing we should talk about is his matchup against the Daima team. The Daima team, I mean, I don't know if I want to hold this against this character because it's just the case for every unit in the game, basically, but like the Daima team just does so much damage that this guy just gets torn up. I mean, like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta comes in, he gets this guy with like 2 cards and he's like on his last leg. Same thing with Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Goku comes in with a blue card. This guy gets hit with like an 80% blue card to like all his, like 80% of his health is gone by the time he gets hit with the blue card. This guy's disrupt is still very strong. It actually does do a lot against the Daima team. The Daima team doesn't really have a great way of getting around it. The only way really you can get around it is you pop his disrupt with either Majin Ku or Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and then you swap into Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta to start, like, you know, sort of powering through that draw card into two more cards. But I think this guy is very effective still. I think his special beam cannon, again, I'll make the same comment I made in the prior video. There is still nothing like the special beam cannon in the game. And especially against the Daima team, if you catch like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta with this character, just like one strike card, you probably could just lock him in and kill him with the special beam cannon. Like, he's really strong still, this Beast Gohan. But yeah, I mean, again, strong offensively, not so strong defensively. And one thing I will also say about this character is one of the stronger things about this character that used to be true was the cost increase stacking debuffs that he used to apply to the whole enemy team. One of the very strong aspects of the Daima team is if you are cycling your characters efficiently and you know when to switch and when not to switch, you can just get around all of those debuffs. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is removing debuffs. Majin Ku is removing debuffs. There's a lot of debuff removal on that Daima team, so it makes it a little bit more troublesome for this Beast Gohan to take total advantage out of that stacking cost debuffs that he's applying, especially when you compare how powerful of an effect that used to be before Daima came onto the scene. But I do think this character is still very strong offensively. His ultimate's very good. Again, Special Beam Cannon is just really, really powerful. You could lock somebody in and kill them. You could even do a play where, like, you proc Super Saiyan 4 Goku's indestructible, drop combo into the Special Beam Cannon, and all of a sudden, someone's dead, right? If the opponent switches, then whoever he switches into probably is dead. But yeah, I think Beast is still a very strong option. And, you know, Cell is not a great matchup for this guy, but you have ways around Cell with this character. I think, like, people talk about this character like, oh, he's, you know, he's nothing now that Cell is out, but I don't really see it, because this character could also just kill Cell with a special beam cannon too, right? I mean, it goes both ways, right? Cell uses his ultimate to kill this guy. Well, guess what? You just don't switch into him, right? When Cell goes for an ultimate, you just don't switch into this character. You have Future Gohan and Trunks on pretty much any single variant you would use this character on anyway. But yeah, I still like this character a lot. I think he's aging very, very well. Ultra Beast Gohan is going to be number 5. Let's move on to number 4. Okay, so number 4 is going to be LF Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta from Dragon Ball Daima. This is the first time I'm doing a top 10 list with this character on it, and he is a very, very, very powerful unit. I was actually a little bit conflicted as to whether or not I wanted to put this character above or below Ultra Beast Gohan. And my reasoning for putting him above Ultra Beast Gohan is just simply due to the obscene burst damage potential this character has. And the thing about this character that just puts him over the top is the mechanic where he draws 2 cards and gets 50% more damage and more ki when he uses a card when he has 2 or fewer cards in his hand. That is just so insane. The reason why it's so good is because it essentially lets you, like, you can only hold 4 cards in your hand at once. It essentially lets you hold 6 cards in your hand at once if you're just clicking cards right away, which is the correct way to use this character. And he's stacking sustained damage cut penetration. He's getting more damage. And I think just the overall burst potential and what that means for the Daima team overall in comparison to Beast Gohan, I think pushes this guy a little bit higher on the list than him. But there are pros and cons, right? I think Beast Gohan definitely has some mechanics that are better than this Vegeta, right? So Beast Gohan has a half HP disrupt, what this Vegeta does not have. This Vegeta's disrupt comes from him cover changing, which is very strong, especially paired up with like Majin Ku and the subcount manipulation that exists on the Daima team. I think it is a very strong disrupt mechanic, but he doesn't have ways to heal while he's on the battlefield. That is kind of a negative aspect of this character. And then something else is obviously he doesn't have anything like the special beam cannon, which definitely is an advantage for Beast Gohan. But I just think the raw damage this guy is able to do, I mean, he does more damage than Beast, which is crazy to even think about. He does more burst damage than Beast does. But I think it works super well with what the Daima team wants to do. And him as like a second wheel almost to Super Saiyan 4 Goku is exactly what the team needs paired up with Ku. Like, I think that's that's the team I use for God rank this season. Again, I went like 40-0 or 45-0 or whatever I went with that team. It was just insanity. That Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and Majin Ku Daima setup. Just really insane. And a lot of times, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta would actually outperform Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Doesn't mean I think he's a better character than Super Saiyan 4 Goku right now, but Vegeta has that potential. He's that strong. The buff removal on main ability when the opponent has 1 character left also can just, end up clinching you games. Just a really, really good character. I guess he could be a little bit fragile defensively. That's definitely, I'm not going to deny that. That's not, he doesn't have the best defenses ever. He's not Super Trunks. He's not like, one of these tanky characters. But you can at least, be competent at high star levels. Again, remember, everything is being considered at 14 stars here because that's what I'm using these characters at. But he has good disrupt. He's healing a lot when on standby whenever you have a character that's switched in that's taking damage. You match that up with Majin Ku's healing, and you swap in with a Vegeta with your gauge up. You're disrupting. You got full HP. You're, destroying their cards. He's a good unit, man. I like this Vegeta a lot. The damage is ridiculous, and I'm actually going to be pretty scared to see if they want to give us more burst characters similar to how this character is, because he's just really, really powerful. So LS Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is going to be number 4. Let's move on to the 3rd spot on the list here. Okay, so number 3 is Ultra Perfect Cell. This is the prior number 1 character on the last list. Clearly, he was going to fall a little bit on this one. Not a ton. I still think he's very good. But, Super Saiyan 4 Goku is a character that clearly was designed with this cell in mind. I mean, he's blue. He's got indestructible. The claim to fame on this character is his permanent endurance nullification, which essentially ruled the game for the, 3 weeks that this character was out before Goku dropped. But yeah, this character on a future build, I think that is his best variant right now for sure. Is Future. This character, Future Gohan Trunks, I think Rose is that's the team setup that I like going with. Full offense, you just burst people down, you just click cards, and you just stomp on people's heads and they die. That's what you do with Cell. So I guess what we should talk about here is his matchup against the Daima team. I think this Cell could definitely struggle a little bit against the Daima team, even outside of Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Majin Ku very easily can completely disrupt this character's combos. It actually reminds me a little bit of Super Trunks back in the last meta. before Super Saiyan 4 Goku dropped, when Future was easily the best team in the game. Majin Ku, even like with Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta without Super Saiyan 4 Goku, would be able to come in before this Cell gets his release gauge. He'd be able to swap in, reduce his ki, destroy his cards, and his combo would be over. I mean, it would be stopped completely. And Super Trunks did the same thing. So, I mean, there is a little bit of, I don't want to say a concern there, but that is a weakness the character has before he gets the release gauge going. Once his release gauge is up, it is very hard to put a stop to this character. But one of the weaknesses of this unit is once you have that release gauge up, he has type neutrality, but it's only up for 10 counts, I believe, right? So if you switch out of him while the release gauge is up, his gauge doesn't deplete when he's on standby. So if you then switch back into him later, he's not going to be type neutral against Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who can just swap in and tank pretty much anything this guy does. This guy does have access to Obscure, which we talked about earlier when we discussed Majin Du. Could be a pretty effective tool, especially with an offensive-based character like the Cell. A lot of times what I'll do with him is I'll go for the blue card into the Obscure. When the enemy is obscured, I'll go for a tackle into something because, you know, you want to take advantage of the Obscure. You don't want to use your blue card, obscure the opponent's hand, and then just do nothing. A lot of times, you know, you want to go on the offensive when the opponent has no means to fight back against you. I still think this character has probably the hardest hitting ultimate in the game. Like, yeah, Goku's ultimate hits hard, but this Cell's ultimate hits hard. Like, it is a different level. That's what the arts action mechanic does to the damage of these ultimates. It really boosts it a lot. So if you're fighting a Daima team, I figure if the opponent is not using Majin Du, which, again, I think most of the time I am fighting Daima teams that are not using him. Sometimes they use Tamagami number 3, which also you got to keep your eyes out for, but that's where Rose comes in and helps out this character. Rose what I will do with Future is I'll come in with Rose, try and prioritize getting his ultimate out, use it as fast as possible, and that removes the buff removal from like Majin Du, right? And then I'll use Cell, come in with Cell, use his ultimate, get rid of Goku, go type neutral, get rid of Goku's indestructible, and then from that point forward, you kind of just have free reign with Cell's Rising Rush to kill somebody. So Cell is still a really strong character. I think his disrupt mechanics are still really good. Obviously, there can be certain situations where characters can get around it. Super Saiyan 4 Goku can get around it if he has a blast and a green card. It's got to be pretty specific though, right? A green into a blast, or sorry, a blast into a green card. It doesn't sound tough, but like you're not always going to have access to those things. So his ceiling disrupt could be good. I think he has the same effect that Majin Vegeta has when his endurance is activated, where he's destroying Dragon Balls. So that's pretty powerful as well. But overall, I think this character is actually still in a pretty good spot. But certainly compared to a pre-Super Saiyan 4 Goku meta, he's a little bit worse off. But definitely not to the point where like we need to be talking about this character falling off, which I have seen a little bit of, which I don't think is the case. So Ultra Cell number 3. Let's move on to number 2. All right, so number 2 is going to be Future Gohan and Trunks. Not going to spend a ton of time talking about this unit because you guys definitely all know how they work at this point. This character definitely has like the best second life mechanic in the game, I would say. Super Saiyan 4 Goku has the indestructible, which is also very, very good. But it is restricted to a specific team in Daima, whereas this character, I mean, they're on Hybrids, Future, Sun Family, Vegeta Clan. They're on all these really good teams. And they don't need to be on a specific setup to get what essentially is just a glorified revival, like a better version of Revive, essentially, is what the succession mechanic is, right? One of the really good aspects of this character that makes them a pretty good character to be used against the Daima team is their immunity to attribute downgrades under normal conditions. A lot of times when you're using Daima, at least what you should be doing when you're using Daima, is just constantly swapping in and out, applying debuffs, lowering card draw speed, applying paralysis, applying power down debuffs. That's really what makes the Daima team as powerful as it is. One of the aspects of what makes it as powerful as it is. And this character essentially having access to the immunities against that is very, very strong because they got double card draw speed. They have the tag mechanic, which allows them to draw cards on top of having double card draw speed. So they just combo forever and ever and ever. They have, again, like I mentioned, really, really easy second life Rising Rush defense. And once they're in with the post-succession Super Saiyan Trunks, he hits very hard, has Vanish Restoration with his main ability, can get full hands with his gauge filling up, can get Cover Null easily with the green. And another thing about this character as well is they have the ability to reapply Cover Null. That's not something we really talk about too much up until now, at least, just because it really didn't matter as much. But with Super Saiyan 4 Goku being able to remove special cover change nullification from characters once they are attacking the team when he's on standby, it actually becomes a lot more important for characters to be able to have the ability to reapply cover null, right? Because once you've attacked, like, let's just say this character attacks like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta when Super Saiyan 4 Goku's on standby, their cover null gets removed. If you have a green card in your hand with this character, which they generate after tagging, you can just simply reapply it, and then they can continue attacking you while also being immune to all these debuffs. So they're a really solid character. Not really a character you would take a look at in terms of just what's written on paper for them and be like, oh yeah, they're easily like the second best unit in the game. Like, you wouldn't really think that, but I mean, they are doing a lot. Being a tag character, doing as much damage as they do, the combo potential, the defensive sustainability they have. Just a really, really strong unit here with Future Gohan and Trunks. So I think they are definitely deserving of number 2 here. Well, let's move on to the number 1 spot next. All right, so number 1 is going to be Daima LF Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I personally, I have used this character a lot at this point. I did my God Rank grind video again. It really didn't seem like there was much competition here. I do have this character at number 1, and it is, I don't want to say like a massive difference. To me, there does appear to be a sizable gap between this character and just the rest of the game. I think Future Gohan and Trunks are very good, but this character on Daima with like Majin Ku, what is standing up to this guy? I don't think anything is. I don't. I mean, this guy's got way too much going for him. First thing we could talk about is how ridiculous and obscene this ability is. I wasn't sure how stupid this was going to be, and I talked about this. I thought it was going to be good, but applies attribute upgrade, shortens substitution count by 1 to tag Daima allies. That is essential. Capital E, essential for the Daima team. When you are swapping in and out as much as you are with that Daima team, Majin Ku, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and this character, you are debuffing so much, you are disrupting so much, you are subcount manipulating, you are deleting cards, you're buffing the team, healing the team. It's just a constant, it's like a washing machine of switching. It is, think about how much value you are getting from that -1 to subcount. And the thing about that -1 to subcount for the whole team is it gets even more valuable the more subcount manipulation you have on the team. Because the more subcount manipulation you have on the team, the more times you can swap, the more times you're refreshing the subcount, and every time you do that, you are getting 1 subcount of value from that mechanic. It is, I think, way better than most people think it is. So that's number 1. This character has insane combo potential. He's got 10 counts of cover null, and he's able to refresh his cover null with his gauge filling up. He gets like 90 key with his gauge filling up. He gets like the hardest hitting blue card by far in the game. What else? He's got tons of ways of getting his vanish back. He gets his vanish back with the blue card when his gauge is full. He's getting his vanish back with his main ability. He does have the buff removal mechanic, which I think, again, I mentioned this even in his breakdown video. I saw that and I just knew immediately that was going to be so insane. Removing cover null when he's on standby, when he himself has a double special cover change against both strikes and blasts, I mean, the opponent has to drop, basically. Otherwise, you know, you just get cover changed against, and then you risk this guy having a blue card and just taking away 2/3 of your HP. I mean, it's just it's just that simple. And if he's got a full gauge up and he has a blue card, that's a type neutral blue that's just hitting you for 3 million damage. So there's not really much you could do about that. He's healing just absurd amounts. I've had matches where this guy has like 10% HP left, and in like a span of 8 counts, he's back to full HP. And on top of all that, he's got probably the best last man standing mechanics ever. I mean, who in the history of this game has had better last man standing mechanics than this character? Blue Namek Goku, the OG one, probably is the only one I can think of. I don't think any, like, Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. No, I think this guy's better last man standing than him. It's crazy. He locks the opponent in. He removes their vanish. He draws an ultimate. Like, you have to have a rush. You have to have a rush, or remember, he's also sealing main abilities when he enters the battlefield too, by the way. So if you are a character that has like vanish, restore, and main ability, you can't use your main ability to get your vanish back. So you either have to have a rush or like a green card that restores your vanish engage or something like that. So yeah, it's just, and on top of all that, he's got indestructible on Daima, and he's like the hardest hitting unit in the game or something. So it is obscene, and I actually cannot believe when this guy dropped, people were like, oh, he's, underwhelming, or he's not good enough. Like, I don't, what else could they possibly have done? He is just beyond the game. Like, he's just so strong. I definitely don't think this is like a Blue Bee situation, because there are other teams still that are competitive with Daima, right? I think Future is competitive with Daima. I think Hybrids is competitive with Daima. I think Vegeta Clan probably is like a tier below, but I think Vegeta Clan is still a competitive team. I think Sun Family is still a competitive team. So there are teams that you can actually use and stand a chance against the Daima team, but Daima, to me, clearly is just head and shoulders better than the rest of the game. Again, I'm not saying that you can't win against it, but it's just very, very good. Whereas when Blue Beast dropped, you either ran Blue Beast or you Alt F forward out of the game. You just quit the game. You just uninstall the app. But yeah, Daima is just, and it really wasn't until we got this guy to drop, who is just doing so much that the team is just, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it really is all hinging on this character pretty much. I mean, like, Ku existed before this. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta existed before this. Majin Doo dropped with this character, but like, even without Majin Doo, like, I don't run Majin Doo on my version of Daima. Majin Doo is a really good character, but this guy, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Ku, I mean, the damage is just so crazy. And the thing with the damage too is you don't even need to like charge or sidestep. You just press cards. This guy just presses cards. He gets a green card. He's filling up his hand just like 3 times. Vegeta comes in, pummels the opponent. Majin Ku, and then eventually you're gonna lose priority. Majin Ku comes in, paralyzes the team. Just has like minus 90 ki, minus 3 cards, gets his vanish back every 2 seconds. I don't. It's tough, man. I don't know how you really hold a candle to this character. This guy's just, he is really crazy. But I guess we'll see what they want to do for April. We'll see what kind of characters they want to drop, and I don't know. It's gonna be tough. This guy's gonna be here until the anniversary. Anniversary, I could definitely see them doing something, but because that's usually when they try and establish a new meta, a new dominant team. But this guy, to me, it's a lot to overcome. So we'll see. But that is going to round out this list. So just to recap real quick, number 10 is going to be a shared slot between Super Trunks and Majin Doo. Number 9 is Ultra Majin Vegeta. Number 8 is Sparking Majin Ku. Number 7 is going to be transforming LF Super Saiyan 2 into Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku. Number 6 is Ultra Rose Goku Black. Number 5 is Ultra Beast Gohan. Number 4 is LF Daima Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Number 3 is Ultra Cell, Ultra Perfect Cell. Number 2 is LF Future Gohan and Trunks. And then number 1 is LF Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one.